So, welcome, Julia, to the first
Hello.
episode of Behind the Minds of Women in Business. This is a series that we're going to do and basically talk to small and medium creators so we can learn a little bit more about our strategies and about what we're doing in business, how we're doing in stuff, and gain a little insight and strategies in like new ways that we can help other women also like do business and like offer new insights, new ideas. So today I'm here with Julia. She is a project management and a clarity coach, and she supports people who want to transition into project management careers. So, Julia, if you want to give a little bit about your background in your business, how do
Yeah,
you help people?
absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. So I was an elementary school teacher for 12 years, and like a lot of teachers, after COVID, teaching just wasn't the same anymore. And I realized that I was ready to really take all of those skills, everything that I had learned, and apply it in a new way. I wanted to experience working with adults. I wanted to experience working in a completely different environment than I had been in before. And I discovered project management. For me, because the job market was already so competitive, there were a lot of people because of layoffs and a lot of people making the transition to other jobs themselves. I started doing freelance just to get that experience, and it's just stuck ever since. So I work with solo entrepreneurs, business owners. I work with small businesses, like micro businesses, like less than 10 employees, and I help them with their workflows. I help them with their operations. I help them get organized so that all those projects that they want to make happen, they can make them happen and they can get those things off the ground or come in and help them improve things that they might need help with. And then because of my own job search and seeing how difficult it was, and I had already been a coach as a teacher for over 10 years, and I love coaching. I really wanted to be able to help other people make the transition into project management or whatever career they wanted to, because it has been life changing for me. So I wanted to help others change their lives as well.
Were you a teacher in project management or like you started like learning project management? How did you
Y-
find out about it? Or
Yeah, when I was doing a lot of soul searching to decide like what was going to be my next step, I did the research and I found out about customer success management and project management. And it was really like between those two fields. And I got really close to getting a project management job and I fell in love with this role, that it was kind of that like catalyst for me that was like, oh, yeah, I really want to do this. And I was able to really see the parallels between teaching and project management and seeing all those transferable skills that people talk about, that I was like, oh, I can do this. Like I can do this. And so much of the project management side of things I'm doing as a teacher and I love doing as a teacher. And then I got my PMP and I was able to say, okay, now I have this textbook knowledge, now I have the terminology. So now I'm really able to like do this and start to make that transition happen.
what was your plan on like getting started like on social media or putting a plan like okay, now gonna get clients, I'm gonna become a
Yeah.
freelance. How like did that started and everything?
It's wild. It wasn't like, for me, owning my own business was not really like in the plans. It wasn't anything I had ever really dreamed of, because I didn't really think it was a possibility. So for me, starting to post on LinkedIn was really a way for me to gain visibility, to find a job, to find a full-time job. And I started posting about my experience and things that had helped me with the PMP. And I started to create stuff on Canva, and people were like, it was really resonating with them and it was really helping. And I was like, wait a second, if I can help other people and create things, which I love creating, like, heck yeah, I want to do
Yeah.
that. So I actually ended up co-founding a business that has since been dissolved, but through that business, I already started to have followers on LinkedIn. I started to have attention and engagement on LinkedIn. So it was kind of a natural progression, that it was like, continue to to share things on LinkedIn to help other people to then it also helping my business.
You
So
first
that
started like more thinking like I'm gonna post on LinkedIn, I'm gonna get a job, like kind of thinking it that way, but then it just progressed and like, no, I'm gonna do like my own business. I'm gonna do like
yes.
my own clients. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just realized how much I loved doing my own thing. Like I and how much I loved coaching. I mean, I already had been a coach seriously for like 10 years, but it was just for teachers. And so to be a coach for professionals coming from so many different backgrounds, all needing support, needing help finding clarity with their strategy and what they were doing. And so it was like I still was doing the freelance, but it was basically like 25% was freelance and 75% has been coaching. And so it just kind of naturally progressed from there because I saw that I was helping people and people started to reach out to me. They wanted support. And so LinkedIn was very much that channel for me to be able to connect with others and help them.
What does your responsibilities like look like in
Hmm.
a day to day, or like do you like manage your own LinkedIn? Are you like the one doing like the strategy, or I saw right now you have a program, so like is that
Yeah.
all of you, or like is there someone like helping you, or how do you manage, if it's all you, how do you manage to stay like organized and to like not get overwhelmed? Because sometimes it can
Yeah.
get overwhelming, like you have
Oh my
clients as
gosh.
a
Yeah.
coach. You have
Yeah.
clients course, so you need to be on top of them, but like also
Yeah.
on top of your social. So how do you
Yeah.
manage that?
It's it's a lot. I mean, it's like really wonderful to have your like have autonomy over your own schedule to be like I get to plan out my day and I get to decide what I'm working on, but it's also can be very overwhelming, especially as a former teacher when I didn't get to always decide what I was doing. Like my day had to be planned out in a very specific way. So for me, after my first company got dissolved and I started to just be like, wow, I really loved doing this. I want to keep doing this and create my own business. And then eventually, you just mentioned this, but you know, I'm just launched a new program, a group coaching program, and I'm going to be doing that through a new company called Capital City PM Collaborative. That it's a co-founding situation, just like my previous one. So I will have some support. She's been fantastic. Her name's Capucine Chapman Williams, and she was actually my mentor. She is the president of my local PMI chapter, and we connected. And so I am doing a lot of the marketing stuff because that's my wheelhouse. I've learned so much. I'm not classically trained by any means. I didn't go to school for marketing. It's just something that when you own your own business, you and I have talked about this before. Like you have to do sales, you have to do marketing, you have to do operations, like you have to do everything. So it's wonderful, but it's also extremely overwhelming. How do I manage it all? I don't always. Like that's the truth. Is sometimes when I'm focused on one thing, something else falls off. If I'm really focused in on my clients and coaching and supporting them, sometimes I don't get to LinkedIn that day. Is that okay? Yeah, it is. Truly, it's about consistency. It's about being authentic and always showing up as yourself. And it's about being as organized as you possibly can, but like not expecting perfection, I feel like. So to be super specific, I have like metrics or goals that I try to meet each week. Like I want to post at least 3 times a week, or I want to make a certain amount of comments a week, or I want to DM a certain amount of people or respond to DMs. So I try and follow that and have it be under what I actually want to do so that it's if I need to take a break from LinkedIn for a week or if I want to post more and I'm like have the time that I can do that too. But just always showing up as yourself no matter what you post and when you post,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I just love
Yeah.
what you said, because I was going through a path at the beginning where I had like the time to go to like publish
Mhm.
every day, and then when I started like getting clients and everything, I was like, well, now I have to focus on my clients. And I see
Absolutely.
I see,
Yeah.
and I identify so much on what you said, because I felt like if I can do my LinkedIn, I will do it. If I don't have time, then I will just like let it slide. And when I find
Hmm.
time for me to do it, then I will do it, because I was going to a point like I was getting overwhelmed and feeling like I haven't posted, or like I need to
Hmm.
do this, or all of my things, and I was like, no, like if I have time, I will do it.
Yeah.
If not, like the main focus, I think, is on our clients. And sometimes we feel guilty that we're not putting too much attention to our socials, but at the end of the day, they're
Hmm.
important, right? Because they're bringing
Mhm.
clients.
Mhm. And that's where having systems in place can help, right? So, I mean, one is giving yourself grace, like we just talked about. If you want to take a week off, you can take a week off. Like the world will continue to keep moving. It's okay. Like people won't forget about you after 1 week. It's okay. And but having systems, so I try to create content like in create like multiple posts all together. But if I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. I'd rather talk about something else. And I just like want to do a post right then and there. Usually those are my most engaged with posts. I don't know if you've noticed that too, like where I just like on a whim just write something, right? Because it's when you're being most authentic. But I try to create content altogether just so that my brain's really focused. And then some people schedule posts. I don't always do that because I change my mind so much. Like I'm like I don't feel like posting that today, or I mean thank goodness we can edit posts now, but I mean edit scheduled posts. But for me, I just at least have the content ready and then I pull from it based on what I want to do. Or like I said, sometimes it's random and I decide that day that I want to post something different. So uh, I know people that have like a very, very clear strategy. They post certain types of content on certain days. They post every day. But like you and I both have said, like, I'm not going to spend all day on LinkedIn. I just can't. Because if I'm spending all day on LinkedIn, then when am I coaching? When am I usually always have a freelance contract going on, even if it's just a small one. So I make it a priority, but it's not my only priority.
What would you say is like your LinkedIn strategy? And like do you only use LinkedIn, or do you use other channels? And like, for example, like, is it important for you like to be present on LinkedIn because that way you're getting clients, or you're mostly getting clients from referrals, because you just said that, you did coaching to t-shirts and everything. So maybe the word gets around, and like maybe LinkedIn is not your mainstream of clients. So
Hmm.
that the
Hmm. I mean, honestly, for me, I am only doing LinkedIn right now. However, that could change. I've been thinking about Instagram and TikTok as well. I do have experience with email marketing as well, but it's not something I'm currently doing right now, just because people get enough emails. I do not knock anyone or judge anyone that does email marketing, but I also know that people get inundated. And so I am trying to think of alternative ways that I can engage people. I have noticed that the majority of my clients come from people that do not engage with my content. I don't know if that happens to you, but I will have someone reach out to me and they're like, I saw that one post that you posted about resumes and it really resonated with me, and then we end up doing coaching together. But they never even engaged with my post.
Mhm.
So for me, people all right now, the funnel, it's all from LinkedIn or any of my like digital products that I sell, like my PMP study guide or like my job search tracker, those kind of things, or referrals. I get a lot of referrals from past clients. I would say at least 70% of my clients have come from referrals. Right now, it is just LinkedIn, and it could be TikTok and Instagram or YouTube. I just think about if LinkedIn is already such a hefty responsibility, the thought of also adding on additional social media, I'm like, this is where I'm like, I can see why people invest in like a virtual assistant or a social media like manager because
It's
it
his own
can, yeah,
job.
I was gonna say it can become a full-time job.
So when you like post a post, do you usually like these people who you say that are coming to you, are they like because you send them a connection or because you know like they just started following you like out of nowhere and you
Right.
have never seen them and like it just
It's it's different. So one of the things you asked me was like my strategy. So I am always doing research to see like if things have changed with the algorithm, right? Because it truly like the algorithm does make a difference. So I try to comment on people's posts 15 minutes before I post and then also at least 15 minutes after I post as well. I can't always do that, but I try to. And I am not consistent with what time I post at. I'm basically the person that's like, don't do what I do. But at the same time, it also shows that like you don't have to always follow the rules to get engagement or to get noticed or whatever. So, I mean, sometimes I post at night, sometimes I post in the morning, sometimes I post in the afternoon. But I try to follow the algorithm rules as much as possible. And also for me, like I do have people I track every day that I try to comment on their posts every day. When I'm online, like if I'm on LinkedIn 4 days a week, and I will check their profiles every single day that week
Mm.
that I'm on. And if they've posted, I'm commenting because to me, it's also about expanding their reach and helping them with their engagement. It is just one way that you can provide value to other people on LinkedIn, and it's just a nice little thank you for always supporting me, or I just want to support you because I love what you're putting out into the world. I have had a lot of people that I end up doing coaching with where they just search for people. They search for career coaches, they search for project managers, and then they see that I'm a project manager and a coach and or former teachers. Like that headline makes a difference. People don't always think that it does, but it absolutely does because so many people have searched for me just because of that. Whether you're looking for a job or you're looking like you own your own business, either way, like those headlines, your about section, all of that, like it makes a difference and people do look at that and they want to look up certain words, but they also want to trust
Mm.
and see that the person that they're looking at is authentic.
Do you have like as a coach any other strategies or advice you could say for people like to get also clients because may sometimes they don't come like just like seeing our content, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes
Mhm.
like other people are like doing like writing other people, welcoming them, like
Mhm.
giving them free store. Do you do some of that stuff to like attract leads or you just like let it go like with the flow, like people who come in or like depend on referrals?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would say also because I am very collaborative in working with other coaches, we refer people to each other. Like, if I'm not the person that's going to be best for them, I'm not going to force it and try and work with them. If someone has more experience in a certain area of what they're looking for, I will say, hey, you should talk with my friend who's also a coach. Again, like referrals, definitely just because I come at it from a very collaborative over a competitive space. I do not DM people, like, I don't do cold DMs. I will interact with people through comments. And if it's been a while and we've started to build a rapport, then I'll reach out to them. But to me, at that point, it's like a warm reach out. It's not a cold reach out. I just don't do that. It's just not something, and again, I don't fault people for doing it, especially if you can do it in a way that doesn't feel icky.
Mhm.
Because there's a way to do it where it's very like a lot of people do it in a very sleazy transactional way, and that's not how I do business. For me, it truly is about building that relationship. I will also, if people message me or I'm talking to people in the messages, I will provide them with advice for free. I will provide them with resources for free. I want to build trust with them, and also I am in this business to help people. It just so happens to be the way that I also make money partially, but it's it's truly is about just helping people. So I know some coaches that like I have had people that come to me, clients that are like, yeah, they wouldn't even talk to me until I paid them. Like, oh, the minute that I said something to them, it was, here's my link. And I get that. I get that you have to have boundaries, but my boundary is I don't respond to every single DM. That's my boundary. But the ones that I do, I'm always going to provide value, whether you're able to give me money or not, because you took the time and you were brave enough to reach out to me to ask for help. So I'm going to provide you with help as best I can without, breaking my back to do so, but I'm still going to provide you with some value whether we work together or not. That's what I always hear from people is they choose to work with me because I'm real and I show up that way. And that at the end of the day will always be the most important thing for me. You can sell to people without being a sleazy salesperson. Sometimes in sales, people might be like, no, you have to go out and get them. But by me posting, by me showing up as myself, by me putting free content out there that sometimes people are like, I can't believe that you're putting this out there for free. Like, that's free because the stuff that I put behind a paywall is even more valuable. Like, I need to show you what my value is. And I also want to help people. So, waiting for the invitation isn't a bad thing, because they will come and they do come when
Yeah.
they trust you.
So what are like three things that have worked with you like on LinkedIn like really well? For example, like as you said, like giving free stuff and like three things that have worked that have gotten you attention and has gotten you
Hmm.
like some leads and some like good
Yeah.
messages from people.
Yeah. My posts that have gotten the most impressions, they have all just been real, authentic things about my story and challenges that I've gone through and vulnerability. So if people are struggling to post, and they own their own businesses, I would just say, just do it anyway. Like, share your story because that's what people like do business with, is not like you are your brand. You own your own business. So people want to trust. If they're going to hand over money, they need to know that the person on the other end, that they trust them. I would definitely say, like, tell your story. The second thing that I do is I try to stick with certain like content pillars. So rather than just posting about whatever I want, is like really like niching down, but also allowing myself kind of like room within that niche, to explore and try different things. Like me posting about human design. Well, I can post about that because it's also about finding clarity, and you can also relate it back to your career. So it all relates, rather than just being like, I'm just going to post about this random topic. It's like, no, it has to do with clarity. It has to do with careers. It has to do with project management. So really figure out like what your value is and what you have to offer. Don't try and be everything for everyone because you just can't. The third thing is, and I mentioned this before, but just be consistent with it. And when I say consistent, it does not mean you need to post every day at the exact same time. That's like being rigid. That's not necessarily I mean, sure, we can call that consistent, but consistent means that you just are continuing to do it, that you continue to show up, whatever that looks like for you. Um, and this is just a fourth thing, but you already mentioned it too, is giving things away for free. Give the value away for free. Don't gatekeep. Help people. If that's what you're in the market to do, then do that. Help people by what you put out into the world.
So how do
Yeah.
you like what would you say like is your advice to like coaches when it comes to like creating like your personal brand on LinkedIn, and like
Mm-hmm.
they're first starting out, and like maybe they're feeling like I don't want to show up online, or maybe
Yep.
sometimes I have some people, I also like to just talk to people and they say like, oh, it's like video makes me a little bit
Mm-hmm.
like nervous, and they
Oh
don't want
gosh.
to create
Yeah.
content because they think like they need
Yep.
to do.
Say the first thing, and this is gonna just sound so annoying, but like, just start, just do it, because no one just starts something and is perfect and amazing at it in the beginning. Like, it's gonna be cringy. Like, I look back at posts from the very beginning and I'm like, what was I even talking about? Like, why did I write about that, right? And it's like, it's it's you get better at it the more you do it. I mean, I hear people all the time, job seekers and people that own their own businesses, that are like, I don't know what to write about. I don't have anything to say. Yes, you do. Everybody is an expert on something. You might even be learning something right now. If you're learning something new, write about it, because you're also going to get better at it too. Like, the more that you write about it, the more you'll learn. Tell your story. I promise you that the more that you do it, I now every day am like, oh, that could be a LinkedIn post. Oh, that could be a LinkedIn post. I don't know if you do that too, but it's like,
Yeah.
you start to like think in LinkedIn posts as you do it. And you can observe other people too. So just start. Like, expect to be cringy and just do it. That's gonna be a big one. Um, the other thing is to not be like attached to impressions and engagement. Like, you might post something, you might have spent a really long time on it, and it might get really low engagement, at least for your standards. And you're so crushed and so disappointed. That doesn't mean like, oh, I tried it once and now I'm not going to do it again, or I tried it a couple of times and my engagement is low. It takes a little while. And there's going to be some days where your engagement is so high and you're like, how did that happen? And then other days where it's going to be really low and you're going to be frustrated by it. Don't let impressions and engagement ruin your day. Like, just, you just can't, because like I said, so many of the people that see my stuff, they will come up to me. Like, I'll be at a networking thing and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Julia, I love your post. And I recently saw this one." And I'm like, you've never, and like, I don't say this out loud to them, but it's like, you've never interacted with me on LinkedIn before. Like, I wouldn't have even known that. Right. So just don't let the algorithm, I'm sorry, don't let the impressions mess you up. That's the big thing. Yeah. Oh, I know. One other thing that I do too is like, I'll create content, and some of like, I'm not even worried about whether or not I'm going to post it. I just write. Like, just write. And maybe you'll end up wanting to post it, and maybe you're just practicing writing, and that's okay too. And always doing research about the latest trends and all of that is helpful too. There are truly creators that their whole job is about how to LinkedIn, how to social media, right? So just following them and being an observer and being a sponge for all of that.
As you say, like LinkedIn is always changing, so
Hmm.
I have had situations where if the post like the impressions do really low, somehow like you in 2 days that post picks up,
Yeah.
like impressions go like fast
Yeah.
and everything. And I also had people say like, hey, I love your post and everything. As you say, sometimes people don't interact, but people are seeing, right? Because your
Hmm.
your feed is like appearing in them and everything. So maybe in the future, like it becomes a potential client, or they ask about
Yeah.
collaborations and all of those things.
Yeah, they might not see your post for a week. Like, sometimes that happens where I still have engagement happening a week later, because sometimes that's like when it pops up on their account. And you mentioned video, and that's something that like I've been doing more. I've been like recording videos, and um I haven't necessarily posted them, but it's been a challenge, but it's also been really helpful because it's forced me to be really concise
Mm.
with what I want to say. So in writing, you can write out a script, you can continue to consolidate and make it really concise, but in video, you don't want to just be reading off a script the whole time. You want it to come off as authentic and natural. So it's really forced me to like self edit. So even if I never share a video, like I just recommend people just practice, like just do it because it can also help with public speaking. It can help with your coaching or your business or whatever. So just do it, put yourself out there, you know?
And almost to wrap it up, because I like something you said, what is like your take on like, do you think coaches should do like collaborations, should do like a lot of networking? Like, what advice could you give to like maybe coaches and founders on like this
Yeah.
area? Like you do like a lot of collaborations and like you get yourself like, you're doing like the program and you're doing it with some
Mhm.
alliances. So what would you say is like, is that like a good strategy for coaches, like to get more visibility? Like, what can you say?
Yeah. I think one, it's more fun because owning your own business can get kind of lonely, right? If you're doing everything on your own, like of course you have your clients that you're interacting with, but you don't have anyone else behind the scenes with you. So when you collaborate on different projects with other coaches, with other entrepreneurs, it can be less lonely and it's can be very fun to collaborate. And you can do so in a way where you still feel like you have autonomy over your own business. You can choose which projects you work on. And again, you can't be everything for everyone. I can't be the coach for every single person, and that's okay. So when you collaborate, it can be really, really helpful because what you're really strong in, someone else, they might be strong in something else and you can work together and you can increase that visibility. Plus, people want to know that you can collaborate and play well with others, right? Like they want to know that you can work with others well. So it's a great way to build trust as well. But yeah, I really enjoy it and you can just reach out to people. It's good to build relationships with them. You can do that by just interacting and engaging with their content first. That shows that you're supporting them. And then after a little while, reach out to them, see if you can set up a call with them. Hey, I'd love to figure out ways that we could collaborate together and then have those conversations and see where it leads.
Yeah, I think it's also a good idea. Like, you can also like you help them, they help you, so it's a
Mhm.
win-win situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.